You were told being kind would build your career. It built someone else's. You said yes when everyone else went quiet. You absorbed the work no one else wanted. You smoothed over conflict before it became visible. You never made anyone uncomfortable. And you are still the one being passed over. Here is what no one said out loud. Niceness at work is not just a personality trait. It is a role. And the organizations that hand it out most eagerly are rarely planning to promote the person who accepted it. This is not about learning to be harder. This is about understanding why your softness was someone else's strategy. You are the one they call when something needs handling quietly. A difficult client, a gap in the team, a project nobody wants to touch. They come to you because you will not say no. Not because you don't want to. Because saying no feels like confirming something people might already half believe, that you are difficult, that you are not worth the investment. So you take it. You fix the broken thing, you hand it back and smile, and the cycle starts again. You rewrite emails before sending them, not once, 3 times, sometimes more. You strip the edges before anyone can react. You ask yourself, does this sound too sharp, too demanding, too much? You over-prepare for every meeting. You already know your ideas need twice the evidence to land. A more protected colleague says something looser and gets nodded at. You said the same thing 20 minutes earlier into silence. You noticed, you didn't say anything. You work weekends. You volunteer for the broken projects. You deliver clean, on time, without drama. You get thanked in one sentence and moved past. And you wake up tired before the day even starts. The dread is not situational anymore. It lives in your chest before your alarm goes off. Then there is your colleague. Call her Priya. Priya is warm, easy, always slightly late, never visibly stressed about any of it. She does not volunteer for the hard projects. One Tuesday afternoon, she books a hair appointment and disappears for 2 hours. She comes back unbothered. Sitting in her inbox is an email naming her co-lead on a new initiative, an initiative you had been quietly positioning yourself toward for months. She didn't apply. She didn't prepare. She just came back with better hair and a new title. You read the announcement twice. You said nothing. Here is what you probably told yourself. She got lucky. She knew someone. It was politics, and eventually your work quality would correct it. That is not what is happening. She is not lucky. She is easy. She is socially frictionless, casually visible, comfortable in rooms where decisions happen before the invite goes out. And the system pays a significant premium for easy, more than it will ever pay for reliable. The decisions that shape your career are not made in performance reviews. They are made in hallways, over lunch, in the 30 seconds before a meeting starts, in a director's doorway during a conversation that never gets documented. You are almost never in those moments, not because you are openly excluded, because you are at your desk, doing the work, which is exactly where the system needs you to stay. This is the mechanism. Visibility is the currency. Competence is the price of admission. You get to remain in the game because you are good, but remaining in the game and advancing are 2 entirely different tracks. Nobody told you that. Culture fit is the filter no one can define to your face. It is not written in any policy. It is not assessed in any rubric. It is felt, a wordless judgment about comfort, familiarity, ease, about whether someone makes the room feel lighter, about whether someone laughs at the right moments and takes up the right kind of space. You have spent years being excellent inside a system that is also measuring something else. Those 2 scores were never going to produce the same result. The meeting where they announced the new project lead was already decided before it started. The agenda was real. The discussion was performance. The outcome was settled somewhere you had no access to, in a conversation between people who find each other easy. And the information about that opportunity, the kind that would have let you put your name in the right room, arrived after the window had already closed. Not maliciously, just after. No one attacked you. No one had to. A slightly shorter invite list, a hallway conversation you were not part of, an email sent a few days too late. Exclusion without confrontation is still exclusion. It just has no fingerprints. You are not failing. You are succeeding at the function the system designed for you: reliable, low maintenance, high output, easy to take for granted. That is a specific organizational role. It was just never going to lead where you thought. Here is what sustained invisibility does to a nervous system. It creates hypervigilance. You read every interaction now for hidden signals. A slightly shorter reply than usual. A meeting you were not copied on. A compliment that felt like it had an edge. You are scanning for threat in places other people never think to check. You are not paranoid. You have been trained by an unstable environment to look for things others don't need to look for. The burnout you are carrying is not just from the hours. It is from the labor of translating a workplace that does not speak plainly. Every day you run two processes simultaneously: the work itself and the invisible second job of reading the room, managing impressions, absorbing the cost of everyone else's comfort. That second job has no title, no line in your performance review, no end-of-year recognition. Then, one week, the same colleague who left for a hair appointment misses a real deadline, a hard one, the kind you would have lost sleep over on a Sunday night. The director sends a check-in. Warm, curious. How are you doing? Is everything okay? You have never missed a deadline. Once, because of a system outage, you submitted a report 40 minutes late. There was a formal note in your file. Same manager, same room, different math. That asymmetry is not an accident. It is not an anomaly. It is data. The difference is not performance. It is social insurance. Some people hold a policy that creates a margin of error around them. You were never issued one, and no one will ever say that out loud, which is precisely how it stays invisible. Here is what the wider picture looks like. The system runs two parallel tracks, one for merit, one for belonging. You have been sprinting on the merit track believing it leads to the same destination. It does not. The merit track keeps you employed. The belonging track decides what happens to you. HR is not equipped to help with this. HR exists to protect the organization from liability, not to protect you from a system working exactly as intended. When you bring something vague and hard to document, a pattern of omission, a career mysteriously stalled, the system cannot act on it. It manages it instead. It offers a conversation. It schedules a check-in. It nods and files the interaction somewhere it will never be retrieved. The language you receive in these moments is precise in its vagueness. Not ready yet. Needs more visibility. Working on executive presence. Each phrase is specific enough to sound like feedback. Each phrase is vague enough to prove nothing. This is not cruelty. It is institutional self-protection dressed in HR grammar. The system does not need to lie to you. It just needs to keep its own logic invisible long enough that you keep blaming yourself instead of blaming the architecture. You were not too nice to succeed. You were nice inside a system that was using your niceness as a function. Reliable, absorbable, infinitely sustainable from their end. The niceness was not your failure. It was your assignment. And the moment you can see that clearly, something shifts. You stop auditing yourself. You start auditing the room. You do not need a new personality. You do not need to become someone else. You need to see the board, the real one, the one with the invisible channels and the pre-decided outcomes, and the social insurance that some people carry without ever knowing they were given it. Seeing it does not fix everything overnight, but it ends the part where you thought the problem was you. That is not soft comfort. That is the sharpest tool you have ever been handed.